Hey, and good Wednesday morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, here with the Weather Report, your no-nonsense, straightforward weather without all that social media hype. That's what we like to do here. Again, welcome. Good morning, everybody. I'm going this a little bit early. I've got to take my dad down to Florida as we've got vacation coming up, and I got to take him down. But I wanted to make sure I got you folks taken care of here for today and give you the weather story, get you ready for the upcoming week. It's fairly quiet across the nation. You know, today's the peak of the hurricane season. We're going to talk about the tropics. We're going to talk about this building heat wave across the middle of the country and kind of lack of any real big storm systems to really worry about. We're going to get into all that. Now, if you're coming to this report after the broadcast, if you can help me out, please. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you appreciate this report, please leave me a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up. It does help with that little stingy YouTube algorithm. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this here for today and get out of my studio mode here so I can do a little bit of talking here for you. Again, we got a couple of things to kind of highlight here for you. Yesterday we had, let's see here, I wanted to show you the highs and lows we had. We had 109 was out in Tulsa, Arizona yesterday. That's over near the border there with California. And the cold spot, Davis, West Virginia hit 22. Oh, that was cold. And we set a few more record lows here across these for this morning. So definitely some cool weather out there to begin our morning. Let's look at our weather map out there as we do have some rain and some thunderstorms here across portions of the Texas Panhandle. I'll show you those here in just a second. The East Coast looking pretty good, nice and cool here. I've got 40s and 50s all up and down in here. We've got this kind of unsettled weather out here in the west as well. And we got some weather here coming across portions of the UP and Michigan down into Wisconsin. So fairly weak systems, and that's going to be the theme. The jet stream's just not in a position to where at least, you know, we're still late summer. You know, we're not really kind of in the fall yet, where we're kind of got what we call a synoptic pattern developing yet. So not there yet, and but we'll eventually get there in time. It'll make it a little bit easier forecasting because with these weaker systems, they tend to be bumper cars with each other. It makes forecasting a little tricky from day to day. Now let's go ahead and talk about the rains there and some of those thunderstorms in Texas there for this morning. You kind of see that there on the radar as we've got a little bit of lightning there up near Canadian here. See some of that thunderstorms. Here's Amarillo back here for reference for your ways. This continues to move off toward the east here with some thunderstorms in that general area. We're not expecting any severe weather today across. There's a general thunderstorm threat for a big part of the country, but especially out west. But it looks like the better chance for severe weather will be day 2 for tomorrow, and I'm going to show you that here in a second as well. Looking at your watches and warnings, we do have some fog up here across the high plains. Seeing that, we got some flash flood watches out here in Oregon, red flag warnings, some windy conditions there across Arizona. That's kind of our little trouble spots here for today, for this morning across the area. And again, today is September 10th. It is officially the peak of the hurricane season. I'm going to tell you, folks, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm not seeing a day, I just can't recall, where on the 10th of September, we didn't at least have a named storm or some area disturbed weather, something we were tracking out there. And that's not on my recent memory. Very unusual. I just hope we don't pay the piper for this a little bit later in the season. Like I said, the Gulf of Mexico is very, very warm out there. And again, that's where we are. We are at the peak. We are at the top, the pinnacle, and we're going to work our way down here. But again, I would say from this date going into the middle of October, we got to keep our guard up. So you folks just watch out for that, especially the fact that the Gulf of Mexico continues to be very warm, continues to track way up here. Again, this is your typical graph for your latent heat in the Gulf, and it's running very, very high. So the Gulf of America, I should say there. So again, just watch out for any kind of systems kind of getting there. So that's one way we watch them. We watch in the Gulf. I'll be watching the Caribbean. Here's the intertropical convergence zone with some of the tropical waves out there. The amount of dust down there is finally settling down. Really starting to see it drop off now, finally. It took a long time, but that should allow these waves to get a little bit better ammo. Now, as far as what the long range is showing here, here's a 10-day model run here on the ESUN's ensemble model, and we're still seeing this persistent weakness here off the eastern seaboard. Your Bermuda high is still a little bit off to the east, so you can see this kind of making this transition turn into that area. So again, I'll be watching to see if anything sneaks into the Caribbean or something develops in the Gulf. But for right now, nothing imminent. And right now, any of these tropical waves that are out in the intertropical convergence zone looks like they're going to make that turn. So the next 10 days, which I'm very grateful for since yours truly is going on a vacation next week, that there won't be any hurricanes impacting the continental United States. So that's some good news on that front. Now, out in the Pacific, we got Keiko going by the Hawaiian Islands. It's a tropical storm. and we should get Mario. Got a 90% chance there, sitting right off the Mexican coast there. That we should get that storm to form here pretty soon, if not today, tomorrow. The way it's looking. There goes the latest on Keiko moving away. Top wind's 40 miles per hour, and it is no longer going to be a big deal. Again, we're going to be watching this zone here for Mario to get formed, and it'll continue to move kind of parallel to the coast there. So we'll see how that storm develops here over the next few days. Let's talk about the thunderstorm threats for today. Let's look at that. As you see, again, like I mentioned, we've got a lot of general thunderstorm threat area out in the west, so that's what we're going to be dealing with out there. You got just basically, you can always get a severe thunderstorm, even with a general thunderstorm threat. You guys know that. But again, just a general threat here out in the west, not that big a deal. And a little bit down here toward the Gulf states as well. But tomorrow, different story. Day 2, going into your Thursday, we do have a marginal risk here. The little system pulls out of the Rockies here. So we're going to be talking about areas up here toward North Dakota, Montana, back towards South Dakota, parts of Wyoming, Nebraska, and into Colorado. So that'll be for tomorrow as well. We'll break down the category on that. Let's go and take a look at the categorical breakdown on that. No tornado threat on this one. Wind threat will be your big thing there in the brown, running about 5%. So we're talking winds up to about 60 mile per hour or so in those zones. And the hail threat mostly up here across the high plains. That is your day 2 outlook there for Thursday. How about day 3? Nope. Day 3, just a general thunderstorm threat here, mostly out in the west. See a little bit of moisture coming back here across Texas and Arkansas and Missouri, making some thunderstorms scattered out there and along the Gulf Coast. But the East Coast, Midwest, Northeast still staying very much on the quiet side. What about our excessive rainfall problems? Those have been issues here. Looks like South Florida's got a little yellow there. So watch out for some tropical downpours down there toward Miami. You see in Florida, out here in the west, out Idaho, back over to Northern California for your Wednesday. Going into your Thursday, again, South Florida still showing the yellow up there from Fort Lauderdale down to Miami. Looking at some tropical downpours there and some spots out here in the west. That's for Thursday. And going into your Friday, again, South Florida, again, all 3 days, got to watch out for flooding down there. Here in the Intermountain region, Colorado into New Mexico. So we're talking Santa Fe, going up into the southern portion of Colorado. And, of course, Montana, Idaho, or into the Dakotas. So that's your day 3 outlook going in toward Friday. So looks like South Florida, y'all going to get a lot of rain. Y'all be careful down there. Not running into flooding problems down that way. All right, let's go ahead and get into our model data here for today. We're looking at the intermediate model here. We're looking at the NAM. Let me get that up for you. Hit the wrong one. There you go. Get on the right slide there, dummy. And you can see a lack of storm systems. We got a lot of little weak systems, especially out here in the west. You see this little swirl out here in the west. That's why we got the flash flood watch there across Oregon. That's what's been responsible for that little low coming in off there. We got these little ejections, these little impulses coming out into the plain. So, but really not a whole lot of activity out there. You see some stuff off the eastern seaboard moving on out there. But that's really about it. Really not a whole lot to talk about. We got little storms here. They'll come out into the plains a little bit like we have this morning. We'll do it again probably going into tomorrow. And look, this is the 60-hour rainfall totals. I mean, out Oregon, you see that heavy rains up in there, California and into Oregon. And you see the scattered storms out in the west here across Kansas. But northeast, Midwest, South, looking a lot of the country, very, very dry here going into your Friday at 2 o'clock. And when that dry air, there's going to be a lot of heat, especially here in the middle of the country. This is going to be our story here, not only for the rest of this week, but also going in toward next week as well. That's going to be the big story here. As I'm going to take this out to your 5 o'clock temperature, you can see the 90s here kind of forming today. We got some 80s and close to 90s out here in the plains. The East Coast not looking bad. We got 70s and low 80s out here, but it's the middle of the country that's going to really break. And when I show you the GFS for next week, man, wow, we're talking some triple-digit heats coming in here once again. So some are not giving up without a little bit of a punch back. Here's your 8 o'clock morning temperatures here. Again, very comfortable here in the east, the Midwest, the Northeast. You see the green, that's your 40s and 50s basically. You're seeing out in the west as well. Daytime highs on your Thursday afternoon. Again, we're seeing that heat see that purple starting to expand up here, getting a little more coverage area here. I see 97, 95, 96 here across portions of North Texas, coming into Louisiana, and this is just going to expand and get bigger. So we're definitely going to have a little bit of a heat wave, and a little bit of drought conditions should start to expand as well, because we're not going to see a whole lot in the way of precipitation with this. And here's your morning lows going into Friday morning. The Northeast looking pretty good, even some 30s up here across areas of New England, the Great Lakes. Out in the West, also looking at temperatures here in the 40s and 50s. Very warm in the plains. Look at this, mid 60s all the way up into North Dakota. Again, we got the jet stream is going to be going way up to the north here. And I can illustrate this. This is the temperature, your anomaly map here, height anomaly, where we kind of track where the highs and lows are going. And boy, the main jet flow is going way up here to the north. I mean, it's just going way up here into Canada, north. And then what is happening is you get these little disturbances that are kind of trapped underneath that big ridge. So these little disturbances play little bumper cars with each other, and they'll shift from day to day. So like I said, forecasting shortwave day to day, every 2 to 3 days, is going to be a little problematic because we're not dealing with a synoptic flow. We're dealing with these kind of more like mesoscale, smaller type stuff that we're going to have to deal with here. But looking at the ridging here in the east and then in the middle of the country especially, there is some weakness here across the East Coast. Here you kind of see this going into this upcoming weekend there a little bit, but that moves on out. But the heat is going to really build here across the middle of the country here as we go for the next several days here. So let's look at your 7-day loop here again. We're going to see a weak system come out of New England here, come out of Canada in the Northeast going into early next week. We've got the system here that's moving on the west coast. That's moving inland air. That's moving up the showers and thunderstorms going into the early next week and across the high plains. So this little piece of energy here coming out of the west, moving inland here, and then kind of moving up here. You see where it's kind of moving into the Dakotas right through there. So into next week. So we're not going to see a whole lot. You see what should be Mario down here toward the south. Here's Mario here kind of coming up the coast. We'll have to watch to see if any of this moisture gets caught up into the southwest as well as we go beyond the 7 days. So we will see how that works out. And then, again, the big story is going to be the temperatures. This is the snapshot, 5 o'clock snapshot on the American GFS model here, latest and greatest here. And we're talking triple digits, 102, 101, 100 degrees, very hot, even 90s getting up here into the Dakotas here. And what I'm going to track this through, I want to take you right through Wednesday, and I want you to kind of watch and pay attention to the purple. That is the big thing. It's really going to expand out here big time here through going into next week. So going into your Saturday afternoon, again, we got 100-degree temperatures there shooting up into the Dakotas, 103 in Missouri, 103 into Iowa. So triple digits along the Mississippi River here from Memphis all the way down into Louisiana. So it's really going to be a problem. It's just going to sit there, folks. It's not going anywhere, and it's just going to expand out. Here's the triple digit temperatures here, and then he's got to shift a little bit further off to the east, kind of getting into the Midwest. Here's 100 degrees here, right near the central portion of Illinois. So this is going into this upcoming weekend on Sunday. Let's look at Monday. Monday here, again, triple digits right up along the Mississippi River. We're getting 90s into Illinois, Iowa, starting to get some heat across the deep south. Georgia, the Carolinas starting to get into this action now. The west is not bad. You can see it's not looking bad. It's still warm in the southwest, but they're supposed to be. The west is not looking bad. A little warm up here into the Pacific Northwest once again. There I'm going, those folks are tired of that stuff. And then here's your 5 o'clock on Tuesday. Again, a lot of 90s. Look at this, 102, 104, 103 across Mississippi, 101 across Louisiana. So we're talking a pretty good heat wave here, a late season heat wave coming in here across the deep south and south central portion of the United States going into next week. And then we'll take you into Wednesday finally. We'll stop at that Wednesday as we look at the whole week ahead. And there you go. Look at that. 100-degree temperatures from Missouri down to Texas, Mississippi, western Kentucky, western Tennessee, a big swath of 100-degree temperatures. Again, not bad here in the west, although the northwest, I've noticed they're getting a little hot up there, interior sections of Washington State. And the northeast looks good. But boy, this is the big story right there in the middle of the country. Baking heat wave that's going to go on for at least a week, if not a little bit longer. I don't see a significant cold front coming down until maybe the 22nd or 23rd. It's still a little bit long ways off to see if that's going to happen, but it looks like above normal temperature is going to be the key. And boy, the Climate Prediction Center is all over this. You can see this stuff, just a big old heat dome there, and we're talking just plain old H-O-T, hot. So we're talking triple digits here, going from the 15th through the 19th, some very hot temperatures, above normal temperatures here. And that continues right into the 17th to the 23rd. The Mississippi River, for example, Delta right through here is going to be very, very hot. We're talking triple digits right there. We're getting hot on the West Coast. The whole country is basically going to be looking at above normal temperatures. You saw the big ridging taking place. The main jet stream's way up to the north. We got no troughs there. So again, outside of this little pocket of weakness, it's going to be very hot. And that's definitely illustrated there. And it's going to be dry too. So drought conditions will continue. Luckily, we're at the end of the growing season. A lot of folks are starting the harvesting now. So that's good news there. But it's going to be definitely hot and steamy here A little wet out in the west, obviously seeing the green out there. Again, you saw those little disturbances that were kind of riding out of here and kind of moving up this way. It looks like that'll continue to be the trend here from the 15th to the 19th, and then going out from the 17th to the 23rd. Still looking dry there across the New England area, mid-south, and a little wet out here, still staying wet out here in the west. So again, it's kind of not the most exciting weather pattern in the world. Nobody likes to talk about the big weather story to be hot temperatures, especially when we're getting toward the middle of September. The good news is at least we don't have anything out in the tropics, but I still fear we're going to pay for this. It seems like it never fails, it never does, especially with the amount of heat in the Gulf. Now, with this heat wave taking shape across the deep south like it is, it's not going to give those water temperatures in the northern Gulf or in the Gulf to cool off at all. So we're going to keep on to that heat, and it kind of reminds me of going into when Hurricane Michael in 2018. It stayed very hot, very warm going into October, and the northern Gulf did not cool off at all. And we had that Cat 5 hurricane in October, early October, with Michael a few years ago, back in 2018. So that's why I'm a little concerned about that. And of course, yours truly will be keeping a watchful eye on that as well. Good to see you, Mick, out there this morning, and Florence out there on the chat this morning as well. Again, I appreciate you guys checking us out here. Just again, if you didn't hear the word yesterday, if you're coming on after the fact, we will be doing a rebrand of the station. We're going to be switching over to just Majestic Weather to kind of match my North Georgia Majestic Weather, which is my local Facebook presence here in Georgia. And we're going to go with Majestic Weather and try a rebrand, as because YouTube has dropped us off their algorithm. It really has. We're not getting much traction out there. So we're going to do a little bit of a relaunch, rebranding, and try some new things to help try to get our channel to grow a little bit here in the future. Look for the changes coming your way probably in October. All right, that is it for now. You guys take it easy. You guys have a great day. Be good, stay safe, and we'll see you on tomorrow's report. I'll be back one more day tomorrow, and then I'll be on vacation for a little while. So you guys have a good day. We'll